So pulling it all together, let's take a look at an example e-lecture that we've designed, and I'm going to show you how it's put together and some of the things that have gone together to make this an engaging and well-designed presentation. So on the left here you can see, if I navigate through, we have a total of 15 slides. It's important to think about how long your presentations need to be to kind of contain all the information that you want without being too long. We always start with the cover slide having DBS branding, the main title of the e-lecture, the category or the chapter within the VLE where this sits, and then who is actually delivering this particular lecture. I'm just going to hit slideshow and press enter then to kind of flick through this. So this is what a learner would see within the embedded VLE. And when I hit return on the next page, we're going to get the next slide, and it's going to autoplay a voiceover of me talking. So I'm just going to be quiet for just a moment.
In this lecture, we're going to be covering the following topics: what a synthesizer is. We're going to be looking at a brief history of synthesizers. Then we'll run through some subtracted synthesis fundamentals.
So I'm just going to pause the voiceover of myself there. You can see that what we've done is we've added the audio in the top right here. We've included a little button just to let the student know that there are audio settings over here, because it may not be entirely intuitive. You can see that I've added text, which is appearing kind of in an animated way, which kind of doesn't exactly follow my voice, but it means that the reader and the information is presented to the reader in a kind of staged way. And you've probably noticed that we then have this kind of border at the bottom here, this bar, which has DBS branding, the name of the slideshow, and then the chapter again within which this sits in the VLE at the bottom. We have the title of the slide. We have this opaque, slightly half opaque image of something kind of related. So you can see it's kind of a synthesizer here. And then the text here. And as this slide kind of loaded in, we had some different elements that were animated to make this into a neat kind of attractive and engagingly designed slide. Let's move through to the next slide.
In this presentation,
I'll just
we're going to
mute myself again. But once again, we have the same kind of format. We have the text appearing on the right-hand side, but now we have an image appearing, and you'll see that as well as the title bar, we also have a subheading. But this is essentially the kind of general format that this slideshow is now going to follow. I'm just going to come out of this so we can look at some of the other types of slides that we include. So we also have some with kind of diagrams, and we also have slides like this, where different parts or these different images, I should say, that relate to different stages of a synthesizer can be used to navigate to different areas. So the oscillator one, for example, is linked to slide 8, the filter one to slide 9, the amplifier to slide 10, and this modulator one to slide 11, so that the learner can navigate between different parts and move dynamically around different parts of the slide presentation as well. Let's take a look at this filter section, for example, and if I come into slideshow, you can see how we've used.
Let's look
myself
next at the.
We've used different objects, so these arrows with a kind of a box, and these are appearing related to the text here on the right. So we can see the filter type that relates to this section, the filter cutoff relates to this section, and this just helps to kind of show visually some of the ideas that were being discussed, and also the text on the page. So the idea, pedagogically speaking, is that this slide is providing 3 different modalities for the student to learn from. They can hear my voice, they can see a diagram of it, and then they've also got the text. So it may be that they spend 5 minutes just reading this and getting their heads around it, or if they're familiar with it, they can skip back to the main synth page, or just keep going with the slideshow, and it just gives them that flexibility to learn at their own pace and in a way that suits them. So let's take a look at this slide, slide 13, and see what's kind of going on under the hood a little bit. I'll just hit the slideshow to start with so you can see what the slide looks like in presentation mode, and then I'll break down how it was designed. I'll just mute myself again. So you can see the different elements kind of flying in. We have these 5 different soft synths appearing in sequence, and then the text again appearing one by one. And once again, the idea is that the student can see these different examples, they can hear the voice, and they can also read about it, and they can do this at their own pace so that they can really learn in a way that suits them. Let's take a look at what's going on in this particular slide. So looking at the motion then, we've got this first object. If I click on this, it'll highlight it here. So this is the title bar. This is flying in from the left, so it's coming in from this side with previous. So this just means that because there's nothing before it, that this is going to happen when the slide starts playing through. At the same time, so with the previous, we've got this grey object here, this grey kind of shape also flying in from the right. We can set the speeds for that. Also with the previous, so at the same time, we've also got this text flying in from the left as well. So this is the title bar, so the title bar and the text are flying in together. We've then got, as we play through this, the 5 images appearing one after the other. So this time it's after previous. So after these things have flown in, this appears, then after that's appeared, this one sequentially through. And then finally we have the text appearing bit by bit. So after the previous and by paragraph. And this is fading in. So if I hit play on this to show the animation, we can see all of that happening. So we've got our elements flying in. These images are loading first, and then the text paragraph by paragraph is then loading. And again, you can change the speed of this. So you might want the images to come in fast, but the text to come in slowly. So by combining all of the different kind of formatting choices that you've got, all the different object types, the animations, there's a huge amount of flexibility in terms of the final visual result of your slideshows. You can create pretty much anything that you can imagine with that. So one thing that's really important, one thing that we do, is to develop a house style so that the slides feel cohesive, not just across the content that I'm making, but also other content creators. So now that we've kind of got this stylized design arranged, we can then kind of save that as a template and then give that to other people within the organization when they're making their slides, so that the animations work in the same way, they're using the same fonts, the same branding, the same color schemes, and everything is going to then have a cohesive on-brand feel to it. So hopefully that's given you a pretty good overview of the types of presentations that it's possible to create using Google Slides. If you do get stuck or if you need further help, don't forget you can check out the help menu. There's a help guide here as well as training, and the training contains some really useful quick start guides and cheat sheets and productivity guides, and lots of information about best practice and things to think about when you're creating your own presentations.